Chapter 85 shocked the whole world. Two countries that have not changed in 1,000 years. The United States, Department of Defense. After China sent troops, the Intelligence Department reported the news to Jobs, all middle and high-level executives in the United States. They are all paying close attention to China's developments. What? It's over? Hearing the latest news from the intelligence agency, Jobs sat up in shock. Half day only. All the monsters in the Badi Kingdom are suspected to be dead. All 19 cities that fell were recaptured by the military of the Badi Kingdom. Huaxia used that mysterious weapon again, nothing more. The scope of use this time is no longer within China, but the neighboring countries surrounding China. China's weapon can actually choose its range. Jobs clenched his fists, feeling a chill in his heart. This weapon, American scientists have studied it repeatedly, but so far they have not been able to understand its principle. But scientists in the United States have made speculations. This weapon can kill all monsters in an instant, and it can certainly kill all humans in an instant, always. Everyone thought that China's forbidden weapon had distance restrictions and could only be used within China, but now it seems they were wrong. Big mistake. With this weapon, China can easily wipe out any country on the world map if it wants to. Hiss. Think of this. He took a breath of air and his face became even more ugly. Since these days, they recaptured two fallen cities one after another, and suppressed domestic monsters under the leadership of Steve. The number of monsters killed reached more than 8,000 heads. Everyone, including him, felt that the United States was about to overcome the monster crisis within its borders and catch up with China. Even as long as we work harder and clear out the monsters in the country, it is not impossible to obtain a perfect SSS level rating. But this time, China sent troops to Batigua, but it once again poured cold water on him. Let him fully understand the reality. China probably saw that we were in the limelight some time ago and deliberately demonstrated to the United States. Jobs smiled bitterly inside. Obviously, China will not send troops without reason. This move, the IT must be aimed at their country, the United States, taking the opportunity to show their strength and beat them at the same time. Minister, the latest information is that China is suspected of mastering controllable nuclear fusion technology. At this time, the FBI staff handed over another piece of urgent information. What? Jobs' eyelids twitched and his heart skipped a beat. Received the information. He flipped through quickly. In terms of intelligence, China is suspected of mastering the super energy technology of controllable nuclear fusion within this month. And IT has been quietly applied to various fields. IT has set off a nationwide technological change, and has surpassed the United States in many fields. Tsang. After reading the information, Jobs slumped down in his chair. His face was ashen. The confidence that I finally regained completely collapsed at this moment. Since the third round of trials, they have made progress, and China has also made progress. It's just, they are relatively high profile and attract global attention, but China has chosen to develop in a low-key manner and secretly develop innovative technologies. The gap between the two countries, not only has it not narrowed, it has actually grown larger. Sure enough, the previous leaders of the United States had a far-sighted vision, and they were absolutely right. The existence of China IT is the biggest threat to their United States. At the same time, the news that China sent troops to help the Badi Kingdom and suppressed all the monsters quickly spread throughout the world, alarmed all countries, especially those big countries that have just participated in the nuclear bomb cleaning operation under the leadership of the other 4 permanent members. In this operation, they have benefited greatly and have also recruited many top talents. Americans eat meat, they followed and drank the soup, and Huaxia, ever since it wiped out all the monsters on the first day of the third round of trials, it has been extremely low-key. It closed the country. No dealings with any country. Their countries are following closely behind the United States, almost ignoring China, until, are you sure all the monsters in the Badi Kingdom have been killed? That weapon from China can actually be used against other countries. China is too low-key. Obviously it has this strength, but it has not created any international prestige. This is called low-key? If you ask me, China has no sense of responsibility as a big country. With this kind of strength, why is it helping other countries now? It is strongly recommended that China activate that mysterious weapon to help our Sakura country kill all the monsters in its territory. Shocked, people from all over the world reacted and realized the power of China's weapon. On the web. He even openly shouted, asking China to take the initiative to assume the responsibility of a major country and save other compatriots on the earth. In Sakura country and Bangzi country, both in Asia, are the most vocal. They are also neighboring countries of China. Seeing Huaxia helping Batigo almost gave them pinky ye. Oh no, their domestic situation is no easier than that of the Pakistan iron. Kingdom, even, it is much more serious than the Bati Kingdom, and their national power ranks among the top 20 in the world. In terms of strategic value, it is much stronger than the Bati Kingdom, which ranks around 50. How to see they are all worthy of China's action. Yanjing, Cabinet Room, the old man from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs took two documents and threw them on the table, sneered and said, "When the United States launched the nuclear bomb cleaning operation, they were the ones who responded most actively. They flattered my country and criticized China. Now they actually have the nerve to apply for Book of Life and Death, weapons assistance from our country." These two documents. It was the letter of request sent from Sakura country and Bangzi country, requested the Book of Life and Death to assist them in cleaning up the monsters in the country, and expressed their willingness to form an alliance with China. In the future, only China will follow its lead. The ancients are absolutely right, frontier barbarians and lowly people have no bottom line. Wang Yu also snorted coldly, his expression full of disdain and contempt. Also located in Asia, the ancients of China had long seen through these two neighbors next to them. Fang Shanling once complained about Bangzi country, saying that it was a frontier barbarian and a lowly class, not worthy of benevolence and righteousness, and not worthy of common courtesy. Sima Guang also described the cherry blossom country, saying that it knows small etiquette but no great righteousness, sticks to trivial matters but does not have great virtues, emphasizes trivial matters but neglects integrity, fears power but does not harbor morality. The strong will be bandits, and the weak will be humble. Facts proved, even after 2,000 years, these two countries have not changed at all, still so shameless, without any so-called shame. On the other hand, look at the United States, although the methods are not bright, at least they will not be as bottomless as Sakura country and others. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs would like to make a statement and respond. The old man sitting in the first place spoke slowly, how to reply. The old man from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was stunned for a moment and asked hesitantly, after all, it is a response from the state, so you have to pay attention to the tone of the wording, let them go. The old man sitting at the head was silent for a moment and said, Chapter 86 Queen Mother Xi's backup plan is a sign of the reopening of Jixia Academy. Hear the words. The other old men were slightly stunned, but soon a smile appeared on their faces. Deal with this kind of behavior of pushing your nose and face. It should be simple and direct. If you say it too tactfully, the other party may not understand it. By the way, the total number of monsters in the Bati Kingdom has been counted. There are 112,983 in total. Then, everyone began to discuss recent domestic matters again. After China sent troops to the Bati Kingdom, it shocked many. Xiao, invisibly, the international status has also been unprecedentedly improved. Batijia has not broken its promise and is using the country's transportation capacity to transport the 110,000 monster corpses to China. Dean Yang has already started launching the Yaoqi project. Wang Yu nodded, his eyes shining with anticipation. Following the Book of Life and Death and Demon Mirror Science Fiction Heaven project is launched again. This battle may not be as big as the Book of Life and Death and Demon Mirror, but once it's done, it will lay the foundation of China and truly have the qualifications to compete with the 5 races. Kunlun Mountain in a certain low peak. At the same time that China was sending troops to the Bati Kingdom, Yang Mo rushed here with the scientific research team of the institute. After surveying the terrain, a temporary base was quickly established and equipped with various equipment. 30 large cultivation warehouses were moved. In these 30 cultivation chambers, 30 12-sided crystals are cultivated every moment. There are people who are responsible for feeding monster corpses, closely monitor the growth of the 12-sided crystal. The previous Mandui plant was also transplanted here, and was also fed with a large number of monster corpses. In the office, Yang Mo took out a pen and paper and started writing. First, study the growth process of the Hollywood Mandui, and analyze the principle of growing chips in plants. Second, determine the growth cycle of the Mandui chip. Third, decipher the 120,000 gene sequence maps, and independently master the technology of unlocking gene locks as soon as possible. Fourth, closely monitor the situation of those who have unlocked gene locks, and beware of any of them the backup left behind by the Queen Mother of the West. Fifth, research. It didn't take long. The key research topics were listed by Yang Mo. Yaoqi Biotechnology Center is not just about planting trees. The point of it relies on biology, genetics, medicine, and other means. Comprehensively analyze the Mandui chip in order to strive to independently master the gene lock technology. The third round of trials is almost over. After writing down the plan, Yang Mo looked out the window with his hands behind his back. The eyes are faint. Now, the third round of trials has reached the 27th day. It's coming to an end, but this is the cruelty of the civilization trial. It only gives a 3-day gap period. 3 days pass, the next round of monsters will follow. All civilizations have only two roads: either break out in desperate situations or perish in despair. The first 3 rounds are all monster races. If nothing unexpected happens in the 4th round, other races should appear. Yang Mo murmured, thinking in his mind. In previous lives, he has experienced 12 rounds of civilization trials. Learn some rules of the civilization trial. The monster races in the civilization trial are changed every 3 rounds, and their number and strength far exceed those in the first 3 rounds. 001 Undead in the first round, 002 Imitator in the second round, and 003 Loudspeaker in the third round. They are all from the Demon Clan. The 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds will rotate to other races. That's it. I don't know which of the 4 tribes it is: God, Spirit, Witch, or Ghost, under the butterfly effect. The future has become uncertain, and the information he, the reborn, possesses is increasingly limited, but he did not panic. On the contrary, after the first 3 rounds of trials, he became more and more convinced that China would never make the same mistakes again. The science fiction Heavenly Plan, which is a collection of the wisdom of past generations of China, will eventually suppress everything and lead the whole country of China to ascend. Dean, there is an emergency report from Lindsay Base. At this moment, Zhao Ziyan quickly walked into the office, interrupted Yang Mo's thoughts. What happened? Yang Mo glanced at Zhao Ziyan. He found that Zhao Ziyan's temperament became colder and colder after opening the genetic lock. It gives people a feeling that strangers are not allowed to enter. Same, her work ability has also been greatly improved. All the affairs of the institute were handled by her in an orderly manner and without leakage. The people at the Lindsay base said that the energy storage seems to be almost completed, and the mysterious stone tablet has shown slight abnormalities. Hear this, Yang Mo's expression suddenly lit up, revealing a look of joy. Half a month ago, Huaxia took the lead in building a controllable nuclear fusion energy station in Lindsay with the help of the controllable nuclear fusion technology he brought out from the stone monument. Although the overall project is not completely completed, but the core nuclear fusion energy transmission channel has been established. All the energy generated by the energy station is given priority to the mysterious stone monument. I'm going to Lindsay right now. Yang Mo pondered for a moment and told Zhao Ziyan, you don't have to follow me. Stay here and cooperate with researchers to continue to explore the potential of gene locks. Zhao Ziyan was stunned for a moment, looking a little aggrieved, but still nodded and said, I will cooperate fully. As Yang Mo's secretary, she knows very well the importance of genetic locks. Whether it can be popularized is related to the future of all China. As the only person in the country who has unlocked the gene lock, she needs to cooperate with a large number of research and tests to provide accurate gene lock information. Plus, it is very possible that Queen Mother Xi's backhand is hidden in her body. Don't be too nervous, the Queen Mother of the West may be just a guess. Yang Mo noticed that Zhao Ziyan was depressed and comforted her. 5,000 years have passed. Maybe this 12-sided crystal is just a research initiated by the Queen Mother of the West, and there is no so-called backhand. Please rest assured, Dean, no matter what happens, I will never betray China. Zhao Ziyan raised her head and took the initiative to meet Yang Mo's gaze. In the eyes, there is an indescribable determination. Yang Mo's heart trembled, and he couldn't help but think of the sassy woman who died with the monster in his previous life. He nodded. He explained softly, while we are cooperating with the research, if you are bored, you can study more of the classic of mountains and seas and try to find the secrets in it. Zhao Ziyan has already opened the gene lock. In terms of brain development, he is the first person in the world. Perhaps you can find some new discoveries in the civilization trial manuals of the ancestors. Lindsay Base. A huge stone monument stands here, below it. The massive nuclear energy from the controllable nuclear fusion energy station is gathered here and disappears on the surface of the stone monument like a mud cow entering the sea. A critical mass seems to have been reached. A month later, the silent stone monument trembled again. The dark stone surface, there is a faint layer of light. Jixia Academy. Yang Mo rushed here and saw various strange phenomena in the stone tablet, and the precursor to the opening of the first stone tablet, exactly the same. On the front of the steel, the 4 words, Jixia Academy, are outlined in a running stroke, and on the back of it, there are also 4 other words that are so powerful that they bring a sense of ancient vicissitudes to the face. Chapter 87 Surprise, Heart, Mountain Leader, China Yongchang. Yang Mo stared at these 4 words. I am becoming more and more curious about the origin of this stone monument. It seems to be inextricably linked to China, but it was given out as a reward for the civilization trial. He was puzzled. Boom, as he thought about it, the stone tablet trembled more and more. The surface of the stone tablet shines brightly. Vaguely. It was as if an invisible passage opened, pulling his consciousness towards the inside of the stone monument. Dean, the researchers next to him saw this and rushed forward anxiously. Country Road. Yang Mo came back to his senses and looked around. Hurry up, the mountain leader is going to give a lecture. Two scholars dressed in ancient costumes looked anxious and passed by Yang Mo running towards the mountainside not far away. Both sides of the road, golden farmland where wheat is grown, the air is fresh, the scenery is beautiful, but Yang Mo had no intention of admiring the scenery. Instead, he looked at the backs of the two scholars in ancient costumes. He remembered, the first time I entered the inside of the stone monument, I also met these two people, same scene, the two of them seemed late again. Is it a coincidence? Yang Mo frowned slightly, following up to the two of them. They took the initiative to say hello. My lord, Yang Mo, what do you call me? The two people in front couldn't help but pause when they heard this point. One of them turned around, looking at Yang Mo in surprise. His face was full of shock. Look at your attire, you also came to the academy to study, and you actually have a surname? Which country are you from? Yang Mo was stunned. For a moment, I don't understand why the two people reacted so loudly. Isn't it normal to have a first name and a surname? Second brother, don't waste any more time. The mountain leader will give a lecture soon. If you go late, you will be punished. Another person pulled the man's sleeve and urged anxiously. The man reacted suddenly. A slap on the forehead. He bowed his hands to Yang Mo and said, I'm surprised. This is my third brother named Zhong. The mountain leader is giving a lecture soon. We have to go to the academy as soon as possible. Finished. He pulled another person and ran away. Surprise and heart, one-word names? Yang Mo watched the two people leaving and silently remembered these two names. Later, looked at his attire and the Jisha Academy token around his waist, also rushed towards the mountainside. Not long after, then he rushed to Jisha Academy, and the old man who was responsible for guarding the gate of the academy also noticed Yang Mo. Boy, the mountain leader is about to give a lecture. Why are you still standing there? The old gatekeeper raised his eyebrows and said angrily, Did you bring the academy token? Bring it. Yang Mo quickly took out the token from his waist and handed it to the old man. After the other party checks, he waved his hand, move him to hurry in. After passing through the long corridors, he soon arrived at the lecture hall of the academy in a wide square. There are dozens of students below. Everyone has their hair tied and their crowns tied up, sitting on the futon. The two people he met at the foot of the mountain before. At this time, an old man at the front was slapping his palms with a ruler and wailing, the bell has rang 3 times, and you are becoming more and more lazy in your studies. The old man looked angry and glared at the two of them. After today's lecture, I will punish you to copy the encouragement to learning 100 times. Chief, listen to our explanation. We, Jing and Zhong looked at each other, and their expressions instantly fell. No need to say more. The old man snorted coldly, rolled his sleeves and said, Go back to your seats. The two sighed. In front of all the students, I returned to my futon. In the square where the lecture is held there were whispers of gloating, quiet. The old man in front glanced down, and the scene fell silent. Huh? The old man was about to give a lecture. Suddenly he noticed Yang Mo not far away, showing surprise. A new student is here today? Come here. Br Yang Mo took a peek at the dejected Jing Hezhong and walked forward slowly. He remembered, the last time I came here, although Jing Hezhong was late, it was not so miserable. Could it be, it was because he stopped the two of them this time that they made the mountain chief angry? It's your destiny to join my academy for the first time. Do you have any questions to ask me? The old man looked at it for a moment and then asked slowly. Ahem, Chief Shan, I've been here once before. Yang Mo was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but remind him, have you been here? When the old man heard this, he couldn't help but sneered, although I am old, I am not old yet. I know the appearance of the disciples in the academy clearly. There has never been anyone like you. When did you come? Last time, half a month ago, right here, I asked you about controllable nuclear fusion technology. Yang Mo's eyes widened and he pointed to a meter away. Absurd. The old man's face was ashen and he said coldly, I have never seen you before, let alone answered the technical questions about controllable nuclear fusion. This, Yang Mo quietly looked at the other party and felt that something was wrong. This old man, it seems that he has no memory of what happened before. Could he be suffering from amnesia? Okay, if you have nothing to ask, just find your seat and sit down. I'm going to start teaching. The old man snorted coldly and urged, Wait a minute, I do have something to ask. Yang Emo spoke quickly. It was not easy for him to enter the stone monument again. He could not waste this hard-won opportunity. Oh. Seeing this, the old man's expression softened a little. He stroked his beard and said, Are you asking about controllable nuclear fusion technology? This technology is relatively low level. I happen to know a thing or two about it and can answer it for you. Looking at the old man's confidence full of looks, Yang Emo swallowed. An old man in ancient costume dressed in a costume from 2000 years ago explained in front of him about controllable nuclear fusion. This scene. It's so inconsistent. I would like to ask, does the old gentleman know about the civilization trial? Yang Emo took a deep breath and asked the question he was most concerned about. This trial, inexplicably pulling the entire Earth into it. Monsters are coming one after another, leaving all civilizations teetering on the edge of extinction. For the civilization trial, China knows very little now and can only look for clues from the Book of Mountains and Seas. He felt. This mysterious old man even knows about controllable nuclear fusion, and maybe he will know the secret behind the civilization trial. However, after he finished asking, the smile on the old man's face suddenly froze. What? What exactly is the civilization trial? Who initiated it and why the trial was initiated? Yang Emo took a deep breath again and asked everything he wanted to know, but he didn't know anything about it. Shaking his head blankly, the confidence I had before was gone now. After a while he blushed and said with shame, Well, why don't you change the question? I really don't know what this civilization trial you were asking about is. Chapter 88, Drinking Wine. You don't know about the civilization trial either? Looking at the old man's reaction, Yang Emo was a little disappointed. Obviously, the level of the civilization trial was much higher than he imagined. The old man, who was familiar with controllable nuclear fusion technology, had never heard of the civilization trial. I really don't know about the civilized trial. The old man looked a little confused and coughed dryly, but the wine sacrifice may know. The wine sacrifice? Br. Yang Emo was stunned for a moment. That's right, sacrificial alcohol has a thorough knowledge of hundreds of schools of thought and knows everything. Maybe I know the question you asked. The old man nodded. How is his knowledge better than yours? Yang Emo swallowed and asked tentatively, Before I started studying, I saw wine being sacrificed, like a frog at the bottom of a well watching the moon in the sky. The old man glanced at Yang Emo and sighed quietly. After I studied, I saw the wine sacrifice again, but it was like a mayfly seeing the blue sky. Mention the wine sacrifice, his face was full of reverence and admiration. Where is the sacrificial wine now? Yang Emo listened, his expression became brighter and brighter, and he couldn't wait to ask. The old man's face darkened. A little sullen, he scolded, The sacrificial wine is the master of our Jisho Academy in Chi State. Isn't it something you ordinary students can see if they want to? Then, what should we do? Only then can we see the sacrificial wine? Yang Emo did not give up and continued to ask. The old man looked deeply at Yang Emo. He said lightly, If you want to see the sacrificial wine, you must be a disciple of my academy. You must be proficient in hundreds of schools of thought, have profound knowledge, and pass the exam of my academy. Big test? Yang Emo swallowed, but he didn't expect it to be so complicated. To meet Jisho Academy's wine offering, ancient examination, he didn't know anything about the tests. You can't pass the big exam. The old man glanced at Yang Emo and then said, Let me change the question. Except for this, I can answer you all other questions. Yang Emo sighed softly. He temporarily gave up the idea of meeting the sacrificial wine, and slowly raised his head. I want to learn genetic technology. Gene technology? The old man seemed to be relieved when he heard this. Confidence returned to his face, smiled and said, This is simple, I happen to know a thing or two about it. Yang Emo finally got in once. Since he cannot ask the truth about the civilization trial, he must bring a disruptive technology out, and currently China has launched the Yaoqi Biotechnology Research Center to carry out research in the field of biological genes, most urgently needed. It happens to be the technology of genetics. Once it can be mastered perfectly, it will no longer be a luxury for all people in China to unlock the gene lock. But genetic technology covers many types. Which genetic technology do you want to learn? The old man paused slightly and suddenly asked, Is there any classification? Yang Emo was stunned for a moment, and then said, I want to learn it all. The old man's face darkened, the corner of his mouth twitched a few times, and he said angrily, "I can only answer you one question. This is the rule of the academy. The rules are dead, and people are alive. If you don't want to be accommodating," Yang Mobin coughed and said shamelessly, but talking and talking that he discovered the old man's face became increasingly ugly. There was a tendency to walk away that he quickly stopped and said, "Well, it's not impossible to learn one. May I ask, Mr. Shan, what does genetic technology include?" "Gene sequencing, gene coding, gene amplification, genes." The old man spoke expressionlessly about many technologies in the genetic field, every item. They are all super technologies that China has not yet mastered, and Yang Emo was very excited when he heard them. After thinking carefully, he gritted his teeth and said, "I choose gene sequencing technology." Lindsay based. A certain ward. "Dean, you are finally awake." Yang Emo slowly opened his eyes and saw concerned faces. Consciousness returned to the body. "How long have I slept?" He rubbed his forehead and looked at a researcher next to him. "It has been 24 hours since the phenomenon of the stone tablet broke out, and you have been unconscious for 24 hours. 24 hours again?" Yang Emo was a little surprised. "The time I entered the stone monument this time was exactly the same as the last time I entered the stone monument. It's all 24 hours. No more, no less, just right. This seems to be the rule for entering the stone tablet. You can only enter with consciousness each time and become a student in Jixia Academy. The time you stay there is only 24 hours. You guys go out first, I want to be alone." Yang Emo raised his head and said to the researchers around him. Soon, everyone left the ward one after another. Only Yang Emo was left, leaning on the hospital bed in my mind, but he was thinking a lot, recalling what he had experienced in Jixia Academy. Gene sequencing technology. He murmured softly, his eyes flashing, "Same as last time." This time, he also brought out an epic-making technology from Jixia Academy. This technology is different from the basic sequencing methods currently mastered by China. It targets all the tiny fragments in the 120,000 gene sequences, sequencing and analyzing the code of life as vast as the Milky Way. Relying on the improved memory of the entire population. He firmly memorized all the difficult breakthroughs and directions of gene sequencing. Technology taught by Shan Chang with the harvest is not small, but what made him more curious was actually the sacrificial wine who had never shown up. According to the mountain chief, it is very possible for Jizhou to know the truth about the civilization trial. The next time you enter, you must find a way to see the sacrificial wine and understand the truth about the civilization trial. He took a deep breath and silently thought about it in his mind. Half a day later, Kunlun Mountain Yaoqi Biotechnology Research Center. After Yang Emo regained consciousness, he returned here, convened all researchers in the fields of biology, genetics, and medicine in the Yaoqi base. Emergency meeting started. The meeting. He handed over the gene sequencing technology he obtained from Jixia Academy to everyone. "Give you a new task, quickly digest this technology." Just started. Everyone was still a little stunned, but after opening it, everyone's eyes widened, revealing a look of ecstasy. Excited. In the past few days, they are all immersed in studying the 120,000 gene fragments carried in the Mandui chip, trying to decipher them, but the 120,000 gene sequence information seems to be only 120,000. But each gene sequence contains countless fragments, which are as vast as a sea of smoke and extremely complex. They lack effective means. You can only use the stupidest method to sequence step by step of the ideal situation. It will also take 3 years to completely decipher it and grasp the function of each gene fragment. But now, with this epic-making complete and mature gene sequencing technology, the time for deciphering will be greatly shortened once they have mastered all 120,000 gene fragments of the human body. So for China, the human body will no longer have any secrets. You can even retest the function of the Mandui chip and analyze the various tricks left by the Queen Mother of the West. Eliminate all hidden dangers.